Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Circling Seattle Sports. We're going to do another episode of Around the Sound, our daily Seattle sports, professional sports around show. To recap, specific day, it is currently still Monday, February the 2nd. Big week ahead of us here in Seattle sports. Um, and I kind of continue that way. It did start off that way with news not necessarily related to the events taking place throughout the course of the week. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna start. I laid it out in order of how things took place throughout the course of the day. So you might be like, "Oh, this news is more important than that news." I'm just going through how things evolved throughout the course of the day. All right. Um, so this morning at 5:31 a.m. Pacific, Seattle Torrent captain and forward Hilary Knight and Seattle Torrent alternate captain and forward Alex Carpenter were both named to the Team USA Olympic team's uh, leadership group. Um, Hilary Knight, five-time Olympian, has been named the captain of the 2026 U.S. Women's Olympic team. As announced today, she's competing in her fifth Olympics. She served as the captain for the U.S. since the 2023 IIHF Women's World Championship. She will be the first U.S. hockey player ever to compete in five Olympic Winter Games. Joining Knight on the leadership team, as my pets have decided they want to walk around right now, um, is her current Torrent teammate Alex Carpenter and defender Megan Keller with the Boston Fleet. So an old teammate of Knight's. Both Carpenter and Keller are representing the U.S. in their third Olympic Games. The USA opens their Olympic play on February 5th against Czechia at 4:40 p.m. local, 10:40 a.m. Eastern, so it'll be 7:40 a.m. Pacific time. That can be viewed live on the USA Network, or you can stream it on Peacock. So cool to see that. Not necessarily surprising with either Knight or Carpenter, but now those are made official. Secondly, around when is this? 10 a.m. Pacific time, Kraken forward Jared McCann was named the NHL's first star of the week for the week of January 26th through February 1st. Over the course of the past week in Seattle through games, Jared McCann registered 7 points, 4 goals, and 3 assists. Um, for a perfect week and into the third place spot in the Pacific Division. McCann notched his second career 4 point performance, as well as his 26th career game winning goal in Seattle's 5-1 victory over the Capitals on January 27th. Then against the Toronto Maple Leafs, he posted a goal and an assist, his sixth multi point effort of the year in the 5-2 win over Toronto on January 29th, finishing the week by scoring his 200th NHL goal in a 3-2 win on the road against the Vegas Golden Knights on the 31st of January. Jared's only played in 30 of Seattle's 54 games this season, but he ranks second on the team with 16 goals and sixth with 29 points, despite missing 24 of those games. So really cool for Jared. We'll throw it over now to um, head coach Lane Lambert and McCann himself talking about it after Kraken practice today.
McCann gets NHL first star of the week. Given everything he's gone through this year just to get back to this level, I mean, how important is it, first of all, for him to get some recognition for it, and how much how much does this mean, like, to you and the team?
Oh, I think it's great. I'm happy for him. I'm happy the way he's playing. I've talked about it over the last little while about how smart he is, how poised he is. And it looks to me like he's feeling good, and that's the most important thing. And it's good. It's good to be recognized for doing something special, and that is one of the reasons why we've won 4 in a row.
To get this honor, just given everything you've been through already.
Yeah,
this
no,
year?
it's definitely cool. Obviously, I don't get there without the guys I'm playing with, and obviously we're grinding right now as a team. We're playing well, and I don't get that accolade without any of the guys on our team right now.
Well, you've obviously been putting up some pretty big individual numbers. I mean, how do you feel right now at this point of the season compared to some of the other times earlier?
I wouldn't say there's much of a difference. I know, like, there's you're always going to have ups and downs in the season. There's going to be times where you're feeling it offensively, and then you're going to have times where nothing's going in for you, right? So I've been through that a lot in my career, and I'm kind of used to it at this point. So I'm just going to keep stay level-headed, keep pushing through.
So with that, McCann is the second ever player in Kraken franchise history to be named as a weekly first star. He joins goaltender Martin Jones, who was named the first star of the week in January of the 2022-23 season. Remember Martin Jones? I remember Martin Jones. Also, a cool note, I'll throw the pictures in here. The Kraken social media team posted that I believe it was head coach Lane Lambert, goaltender coach Colin Zulianello, and the skills coach Justin Rye, all wearing the Seahawks NFC Champions hats at practice in Anaheim. So cool to see that. And so I'll put that in here, and I believe there was a quote from Lambert about it as well.
I've noticed your coaches and you all have Seahawks hats on today. What's the message that you're trying to send to them and to Seattle?
Well, we're just extremely excited for them, and from an organizational standpoint, everyone in the organization, from top to bottom, is fully supportive of what they're doing. What an exciting time! Can't wait for the game. Actually, it's a long wait for those guys, that's for sure. But will be super exciting when the game starts and when you're able to watch it, and just wishing them all the best.
Rolling along here, the Obed Vargas transfer has finally happened. Our Sandwaves from the Sea Crew of Owen Murray, Michael Martinez, and myself talked about, you know, this starting to pick up steam on Sunday, actually, Sunday the 1st. It all kind of came together over the course of the 2 days. It kind of seemed like maybe something wouldn't happen. And it is, and it's to a club that Obed himself, has looked up to, since he was growing up. So Obed, 20 years old, has completed a move to Spanish giants Atletico Madrid. That was announced Monday, just hours before the close of the transfer window. The details on this were kind of funky. It wasn't, I wasn't sure what to believe in this, but Senator Hart reports that the club will receive a fee of approximately $3 million. Dollars. I've seen 3.2 million and 3.5, as well as retaining a 20% sell-on percentage. Uh, Pretty well below what Obed Vargas's transfer true market value is. Estimates have put him at closer to 10 million. There was an Atletico Madrid account that posted that it was an $8 million fee, but it seemed more like a fan account, so I didn't really think to believe that. Um, but it kind of shows more of the fact that Obed, was in control of what happened in his future, right? I think Seattle wanted to be able to honor his wish of, wanting to play in Europe. And, when a club like Atletico Madrid comes up, a club that when Seattle played them in the Club World Cup earlier in 2025, talked about it being his boyhood club, you got to make it happen, right? So, um, it's really cool to see that. Um, it is interesting to see the kind of details on this sort of thing. Um, you know, he wanted to go to the right spot. He made it clear he wasn't interested in moving to Liga MX. He saw it more of as a lateral move. There were clubs in Liga MX that were certainly interested in Obed, but it wasn't, that there was a lack of interest in Obed. It was just Obed having that interest back. He wanted to go to a certain, caliber of club, and he ends up doing so here with Atletico Madrid. So certainly interesting to see that. Um, Really cool to see the sort of content the social media team put out. He was able to record a video to thank the fans in Seattle, record that. So that's really cool. Um, let's trying to find more information here. Um, yeah, okay. It seemed like there was some discussion about Obed going out on loan to another Spanish club from Atletico Madrid, but it does look like Atletico has chosen to keep him with the first team. So that's really exciting. There's some worry that yeah, he would get loaned out, and that's not necessarily what he wanted, I would imagine. Um, It's pretty cool though. He's also fighting for a spot on Mexico's World Cup team. He's only got three senior national team caps, but at least given recent reporting and how he's been playing, he seems to be winning over the coaching staff over there. So, um, yeah, no, it's really cool to see this. Um, they get a fee that's pretty decent. They can try and convert it into general allocation money, have some big upside. Um, you know, they're supposed to have a significant sell-on fee if he does get moved, and they show that yeah, they can develop him um, players into the caliber of performer that can sell off into some of the biggest clubs in the world. So I'll get on here from rambling. Really cool to see that. I wasn't sure it was going to be to a club like this when this story was developing throughout the last few years about Obed moving on, but it's really cool to see this and to see him be able to go to a club that he idolized. So um, we'll continue over here. This is a kind of a dip back into Kraken stuff, but on Sportsnet, over on Sportsnet, Nick Kyprios posted his real Kuipers trade board 3.0, kind of outlining some trade potential players for a bunch of different teams around the league. And our writer, Jade Surdy, interestingly pointed out that in addition to Shane Wright, who's kind of been floating around as a name, there's been some reports that he's unhappy with his development, which a lot of us agree with. Um, uh, Matty Beniers was also listed, which I find very fascinating. He writes about Shane Wright. Wright has been unable to build on and break out from a 44-point effort last season. He has 9 goals and 20 points in 53 games, but he's just 22 years old and has a solid pedigree. Um, there's reporting that Seattle would want to move him in a package to bring in a real top end forward, which, you could argue, hey, if you actually developed him, he could turn into that. But the inclusion of Beniers is interesting to me. Maddie's, especially at this time of the season, Maddie's really starting to develop into the sort of centerman that Seattle, probably wants him to be. He's contributing much more on offense as of late. He's still got the 200-foot game. You can talk about the 200-foot game to death. Um, but it is fascinating. Kyprios writes, while trade conversations with the Kraken might start with Wright, they could turn to Beniers as well if Seattle can get its much-needed scoring upgrade that way. But a team would need to pay for his upside, which has not yet fully surfaced. Um, he's on this list because if the return is a franchise-changing blockbuster for the Kraken, they'll consider it. He is in year two of his 7-year deal, getting paid 7.1 million AAV. Um, I don't. That sentence at the end there is the most important thing. If the return is a franchise-changing blockbuster, I just don't know who wants to move it there. I mean, you could, I guess, sell high given the current rate at which he's scoring, and none of the goals are, anything flashy. I mean, he's been able to get net front and just do the little things to actually get the point stacked. Um, I don't think there's going to be anything that comes of it. I have been wrong before, but I just have serious doubts that anything like that is going to happen here. So, anyway, we'll continue on in a day that was just fascinatingly full of moves. Um, the news of this actually broke around the afternoon. It wasn't technically finalized until the evening. The Mariners acquired Brendan Donovan in a three-team trade. So the day after, third baseman Eugenio Suarez signs with the Reds, and it kind of had become clear that the Mariners weren't going to bring him back. The Mariners do get a guy that they've been in trade talks for seemingly all off season. They get the infielder in a three-team trade involving the Cardinals, of course, and the Tampa Bay Rays. The Mariners send um, third baseman Ben Williamson to the Rays, and they send switch pitcher Durangelo Sanger, infielder slash outfielder Ty Pete, plus a 2026 competitive balance round B draft pick, the 68th overall pick, to the Cardinals. Um, the Rays sent prospect outfielder Colton Ledbetter in a 2026 competitive balance round B draft pick. for the Cardinals, the 72nd overall pick. Um, in the press release, President of Baseball Operations Jerry Dipoto said, "It's tough to imagine a better fit for our current team than Brendan. His combination of offensive skill, defensive versatility, consistency in performance, baseball instincts, and the quality of character line up with what we value most." So it's not surprising. Um, the Lord knows the Jerry Dipoto regime loves the versatility of players. Donovan's a really solid bat. Since 2022, when he debuted, he's one of only 13 hitters with at least a 360 on base percentage, minimum of 2,000 plate appearances. The names above him are pretty solid: Jose Altuve, Mookie Betts, Christian Yelich, Vladdy, Jamal Tucker, Bryce Harper, Yandy Diaz, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge. So it's hard to hate on that. Um, Additionally, over the past 3 years, when comparing him to Bo Bichette, of all people, Donovan has pretty favorable stats. Donovan, over the past 3 years, a slash line of 282, 351, 420, a 117 WRC plus, at 7.5 F4, um, in 366 games, and 355 games for Bichette. 291, a slash line of 291, 333, 445, a 116 WRC plus, and an 8 for. It's not a bad thing to look at. Um, you know, there it's I look at it this way because there's certainly many reactions coming out about it. You didn't lose some of the top end guys in your prospect pool: Colt Emerson, Kate Anderson, Lázaro Montes, Ryan Sloan, Michael Arroyo. You get to keep all of those guys, right? In the 2025 prospect rankings from MILB.com, I believe Pete was, no, Senja was seventh. Um, and I think Pete was 11th. I really liked Ty Pete, really liked his personality. The athleticism was exciting, but it just wasn't working out. They moved him from the infield to the outfield this past season in Everett. Um, and his strikeout rate remains really high. Senja, they were going to plan to have him pitch more right-handed this year. And when you're able to draft Kate Anderson this past year, being able to take him certainly, in addition to Ryan Sloan seemingly rocketing up the list, makes him expendable, unfortunately. So again, you wish him well. With Williamson, it is a little bit interesting. I understand that, but the Mariners get a guy who's versatile. They really believe in the futures of Cole Young and Colt Emerson. Expect for Colt Emerson to be able to compete for that third base spot right away. He said to the media in attendance at FanFest just a few days ago that in the offseason he practices. He takes reps at second base, shortstop, and third base every offseason. Um, so I mean, this makes sense for me. You want to go for a World Series, you want to lengthen the lineup, you want to get a guy who's versatile. Brendan Donovan is that. So the Mariners do have 2 years of club control for him. So that will be interesting to see. So that gets over the line. Finally, wrap it up with Seahawks. It was but night one of the Super Bowl week, they had all the media day festivities. A few keynotes because there's a bunch of stuff going on. Guillermo from Jimmy Fallon was there. Wait, Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel? I get the Jimmys confused. Yep, Jimmy Fallon. Got it. Um, Someone asked Brady Russell about his mullet and how he grew that. Um, Running back Kenny McIntosh, who's out for the year with a torn ACL, got Guillermo's TV camera, was carrying it around. But anyway, Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, had a sort of state of the league press conference and was asked about the sale of the Seahawks. He said that, at some point the Seahawks will be sold. He denied the report that the NFL had fined the Seahawks $5 million for not having the team sold quite yet. Um, One of the quotes was, "I think when Paul Allen passed away, that the team would be eventually be sold. The team will be sold and will be Jody's decision." Um, so, I mean, nothing. surprising. This is just stuff that's been reported. Additionally, um, uh, offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, who is reported to be taking the Raiders deal shortly after the season concludes, was asked about the reports that he plans to become the Vegas Raiders' head coach. Said, "I'm just focusing on playing this game and coaching this game. Been working my whole life to get to coach in this game, and that's where our focus is." So he didn't deny it, and remains on the task at hand, which is important. So love to hear that sort of thing. So that'll do it. That is Monday, February 2nd, 2026. This rest of the week should be chaotic. The Kraken have a couple games before they head to the Olympic break. Obviously, there's the festivities of Super Bowl week. The Mariners just sent their truck down to spring training. Uh, there was a meeting between the WNBA PA. The WNBA didn't seem like a ton of traction came out of it. Did seem like it was helpful, at least is what the reporting said. But I just mentioned that, in hopes that maybe we will have a storm season this year. The Rain are in preseason training. The Sounders remain in preseason training. The Seawolves put single game tickets on sale. So stuff's happening. So until then, probably we'll do one of these tomorrow. Until we see you next time, take care of yourselves. Be well. Do what you can to make today a great day.